What's going on, guys? Welcome to the video. Now, I wasn't going to make another video today, but I see this and I thought it deserves to have some light shone on it because it's a great article and is literally spot on in my opinion. Now, the article is written by Charlotte Gill. The article headlines, "The Remoaner plot to turn October 31st into Brexit's funeral day has backfired." Which, of course, it has. Today, Brexiteers should have been toasting Britain's departure from the EU. Instead, in another perverse twist to the democratic saga, Remainers are the ones celebrating having delayed our exit yet again. These events have of course delighted the ubiquitous left-wing Twitter mob, with users leaping on hashtags like Brexit has exploded, Brexit Day and Britain has exploded, mocking the fact that we have not left as promised, nor has the UK gone up in flames as Mark Francois suggested, nor have there been riots as a result. Quite what the point of these tweets are, who knows? Brexiteers may not be rioting. Why are people shocked at our civility, incidentally? But they are angry. For many, this is a dark moment in our nation's history. Yes, it is. It's a very dark moment. But they say every cloud has a silver lining. It has shown the average voter who doesn't follow politics on a daily basis exactly what Parliament is like. The article continues, not merely overriding democracy, but ruining voter engagement and interest in politics. They do not need any more condescension from smug Remainers. No, we don't. We hear it all the time. It was on Newsnight last night, for instance. It's a daily occurrence. And yet, that is what they do best. Fanatics have even spun our continued entrapment in the EU as a case against the Prime Minister. Former Tory MP and General Wet Blanket Sam Gyimah has said that Downing Street has failed in its central and only mission. I can't believe she has just trashed him like that. Wet Blanket. I would have called him a wet fart, but Charlotte Gill, well done. You're open to a bit of humour in the mocking at least. Alistair Campbell, who along with his fellow People's Vote apparatchiks have spent years agitating against Brexit, added audaciously that Johnson had been exposed not just as a liar, but incompetent too. Militant Remainers' hypocrisy and duplicity exceeded even the high horses they sit on. What right do they have to call Johnson a liar, given they partook in the worst deceit of all, telling us that Brexit was a once-in-a-lifetime vote before promptly U-turning? Well, they don't care about what right they have, Charlotte, at the end of the day. These Remoaners only care about what they want, which is remaining in the EU. They don't care what we want, they don't care what you want, and they definitely don't care what Boris Johnson wants. Whatever Remainer politicians may kid themselves, they cannot dodge reality for much longer. The PM's ratings have gone up, the electorate is not stupid and can see how he was trapped, which is something I've said many times before, and that no one, no matter how brilliant their mind or efforts, could have foiled the inventive plots of anti-democrats whose strategies were only made possible due to the overwhelming numbers of them in Parliament and the outrageous conduct of John Bercow. Which their whole statement is spot on. At the end of the day, the Remainers are not going to be able to dodge this situation for much longer, as you've seen. I'm sure at the point of recording, there has been about 60 MPs who have stood down and refused to stand at the next general election. I wonder why. Because they know they've betrayed their party or betrayed the country and their party, and now they ain't going to get re-elected by them same voters at the end of the day. And as she said, the PM's ratings have gone up. He's at 41% as of the most recent polling. And like she said at the end there's nothing anyone could have done. Doesn't matter who was Prime Minister. If Boris doesn't have a majority, or any Prime Minister doesn't have a majority, and the rest of Parliament are working together against him, you end up in a situation like we did. Now the article continues, in frustrating Johnson, they have only elevated his martyr status as the man carrying the torch of Brexit. Well, I wouldn't go as far as to say he's the martyr of Brexit or giving him martyr status, but people haven't blamed him because he cannot be blamed for it at the end of the day. No matter which way he went, even if he went down like Civil Contingencies Act or anything like that, they would have took him to court and the Remoaning Supreme Court would have overturned any decision he made, and that would have been the end of it at the end of the day. This is something that we can't escape from. I was actually hoping he would use the Civil Contingencies Act or something nuclear like that just to go no deal to piss off the Remainers, but I understand now why he couldn't. Far from deriding the PM and Brexit, militant Remainer MPs should take a moment for self-reflection. The majority of Parliament voted to hold the referendum. They, not Johnson, have deceived the UK. Are they not ashamed? No, they are not ashamed. They do not care. Perhaps one reason for their reluctance to deliver Brexit was mere laziness. or even an absence of numerical, strategic and negotiating ability that dealing with the EU would have exposed. Today has highlighted the nastiness of a cohort of society that had never lost before 2016 and 3 years on remains unreconciled to a democratic outcome. But with every smug gesture or platitude, the Brexit backlash grows. Until then, we sit in a horrific reality. The only thing well timed with Halloween. Well, that is a great article written there by Charlotte Gill, and it's almost entirely spot on the money. At the end of the day, I've said it myself many times, you cannot blame Boris Johnson for the current situation, which is why his polling numbers have continued to soar. The Remoaner Parliament blocked every attempt he made, even if he would have tried, like I said earlier, to go out with no deal via Civil Contingencies Act or some other means, they would have found a way around it. This is what they do. We see that with the Ben Act and then the Letwin Amendment. At the end of the day, when Boris got a deal, which is what they were all saying they wanted, up until the moment he actually got a deal. And then they were all like, no, we can't have this deal, it's not long enough and we need to scrutinise it for a month or 3 months or 6 months, we should have a referendum, we should do this, we should do that. At the end of the day, there's nothing he could do. Everyone's saying he should have just left with no deal, but how? It's not possible. The Supreme Court would have overturned any decision he made. Using prerogative power or executive power, they already took executive power away from him at the end of the day. So this was an inevitable outcome. Unfortunately, a Brexit delay was forced upon us by Parliament. There was nothing we could have done about it, I've said it already. Boris Johnson, like us, was a passenger just along for the ride. The only difference between us and Boris Johnson is he knew about it a bit earlier and he gets paid a lot more than we do. So yeah, like Charlotte said, the Remoaner plot has completely backfired because they have only served to ensure that a Brexit supporting Prime Minister ends up in government. Now, as to whether that's a good thing or a bad thing because of his deal is debatable at the end of the day. I am not very happy with it, and I know for a fact as soon as he's Prime Minister, he puts his deal through. End of story, which is obviously not good. But I'm going to end the video there. I've been rabbiting on for long enough now as it is. It was only supposed to be a short one bringing you this article because one, it's quite funny that it's backfired, and two, Charlotte Gill is spot on the money here. Now, before I go, I want to thank the channel's PayPal, Patreon and Subscribe Star members for supporting the channel, along with everyone who watches my videos. Remember to let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Leave a like, subscribe with the notification bell and share this video as it helps the channel a lot. And I'll see you all in the next one.
This Parliament is a dead Parliament. It should no longer sit. It has no moral right to sit on these green benches. They don't like the truth. Twice they have been asked to let the electorate decide upon whether they should continue to sit in their seats, while they block 17.4 million people's votes. This Parliament is a disgrace, but they're too cowardly to give it a go. But the time is coming. The time is coming, Mr. Speaker, when even these turkeys won't be able to prevent Christmas.
There is a pattern consistent throughout history of oppressed people turning on the oppressors. Slaves against their owners, the peasantry against the feudal barons, colonies, Mr. Verhofstadt, against their empires. And that is why Britain is leaving. And it doesn't matter which language you use, we are going and we are glad to be going. We're off.